Prime Minister Narendra Modi met with Russian President Vladimir Putin on the sidelines of SCO meet in Samarkand, Uzbekistan. Both thanked each other and highlighted the decades-old India-Russia friendship. India is not just reliant on Russian military purchases, but also on Russian oil imports for this year, according to the data sourced from the Commerce Department. And the import of Russian crude, at discounted rates, has benefited India hugely. Russian oil flows to India are not sanctioned, but tighter international limitations, in areas such as marine insurance and US pressure on India, make the transaction more difficult. But Prime Minister Narendra Modi has so far resisted Western pressure to reduce India's ties with Moscow in order to get significantly discounted oil. Crude import at discounts, coupled with levying windfall tax on domestic crude, helped India gain 35,000 crore rupees. The centre introduced the windfall tax in view of a surge in prices, following the Russia-Ukraine conflict, which began in February. The country is now the second biggest buyer of crude oil from Russia after China. Before the war, India bought less than 1% of its oil from Russia. Now, the country buys 12% of its oil from Russia. In July, Russia took Saudi Arabia's place as India's second-largest oil supplier, making Saudi Arabia India's third-largest oil supplier. Even though Riyadh took back the top spot in August, but Russia is still India's third-largest oil supplier. From April to July, India bought $11.2 billion worth of mineral oil from Russia, which is over 8 times more than the $1.3 billion it bought during the same time period last year. Since India increased its imports from Russia in March, imports have gone over $12 billion, compared to just a little over $1.5 billion last year. Around $7 billion of these imports took place in June and July. India's economy is vulnerable because 83% of its oil needs are met by imports. This makes oil prices very important. In 2021-22, the country's oil import bill doubled to $119 billion, which put a strain on government finances and slowed the economy's recovery after the pandemic. Earlier this month, Nirmala Sitharaman, the finance minister, told a seminar that importing oil from Russia was part of the plan to control inflation, and that other countries were also doing something similar. To put things in perspective, refiners, not the government, buy oil. But cheaper oil is good for the big picture of the economy as a whole. By lowering the cost of imports and lowering the demand for dollars, they keep costs down and the current account deficit in check. The government's bill for subsidies goes down as well, leaving more money for social services and infrastructure. This is the second time that India has saved money by shopping around for deals on the world oil market. In 2020, when oil prices crashed as the pandemic shut down the world, the government filled up strategic reserves, and refiners stored oil on ships to save 25,000 crore rupees when prices rose later. This was first reported by Times of India on May 5, 2020. The supply of Russian oil to India continues as dealers work around sanctions-related obstacles in shipping, insurance, and banking to make supplies appealing to potential purchasers.